بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our broadcast Lessons in Islam. We've been talking about various aspects of prayer, and today we are going to talk about Wudhu. Wudhu is an important part of Islam, of Muslim prayer. You see, what happens is that you are busy with something, some worldly matter. I don't know, it may be a meeting with the boss or a client, or doing some deal or doing some research, whatever it is. You are busy in that. And then you hear the call to prayer. So what do you do? Do you just rush off to praise and start praying while your mind is still engaged in the dealings that you were doing a few minutes ago? Whatever those dealings were, worldly affairs. What you need to do is you need to psych yourself up for your meeting with God. Because where are you going? You're going to see God. And what are you going to do when you see Him? You're going to account for your deeds during the day so far. And not only account for the deeds so far, but also to take instructions, to think about what you're going to do during the rest of the day. So you need to prepare yourself. Just think about the fact that you're going to an interview for a job. What do? Do you just wake up in the morning and say, oh, I've got an interview, jump out of bed and just go? You start preparing perhaps even the day before. You go to the hairdressers. You get your haircut. You get up earlier than you would normally. And you have a shower. You shave. You have special posh shirts that you use, that you put on to go for this interview. Could be an interview for a job or a loan from the bank manager or whoever it is. Do you think that an interview with God is less important than any worldly interview or meeting or conference? The importance of Wudhu can be recognized from the fact that it is actually mentioned in the Holy Quran. So you can see how important performing a Wudhu, a proper Wudhu, not just, you see some people, they rush in, they splash some water on their face, and then they rush out again. That's not performing a proper Wudhu. You need to perform a proper wuzu. Wuzu, where you are, it's the intervening period between your worldly affairs and your spiritual and heavenly affairs. So you need to psych yourself up. And that is what you're doing. What do you do when you're tired? What do you do when you're hot? What do you do when you're feeling uncomfortable? You go into the bathroom and you splash some water on your face. And you try and relax. You want to clean and purify yourself. And this is the purpose of that interview. That you drag yourself away from the worldly affairs and start moving towards the spiritual experience that you're about to get. And you realize its importance by paying attention to getting ready for it, by washing and so on and so forth. And then at the end, you are ready to meet your maker, to meet your boss, meet boss of the whole world. So let's see what the Holy Quran has to say about this.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين وإن كنتم جنبا فاطهروا وإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لامستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء
We just heard Surah Maida, chapter 5, verse 6 being recited. And the English translation of that verse is, O you who believe, when you rise up for prayer, wash your faces and your hands up to the elbow, and wipe your heads and wash your feet up to the ankles. And if you're under an obligation, then wash yourselves. And if you're sick or on a journey, or one of you comes from the privy, or you had contact with women and you cannot find water, betake yourselves of pure earth and wipe your faces and wipe your, I've lost my place. Betake yourself of pure earth and wipe your faces and your hands therewith. Allah desires not to place a burden on you, but He wishes to purify you. So you can see the purpose of wuzu. Allah doesn't want to put a burden on you, but He wants to purify you. That He may complete His favor on you, so that you may give thanks. So this is Allah giving His favor on people. And namaz is the means of you thanking Allah. Is a means of you thanking Allah for what He has given. So, how disrespectful would it be if you went and you, without proper preparation, and just stood in front of Allah and started praying? It would show that you don't care. If you went to a birthday party or a wedding or whatever else in this world, you'll spend so much time getting ready and preparing yourself and so on. But when you're going to meet your Maker, who has given you everything, who's granted you everything, and you don't take the same trouble, do you think you're showing respect? No. You're saying to Him, I don't care. I don't care. This is why wuzu is specifically mentioned in the Holy Quran. The Holy Prophet put it this way, that if someone lived by a river and he bathed in it every day, he asked this question: do you think any dirt will remain on this person? And people said, O Prophet of Allah, certainly not. And he said, these are your 5 daily prayers that you do. But he gave another very interesting instruction. Because when you go to the mosque and you go to the wuzu area, you see people performing the wuzu and they're using water as if it's something very unimportant, as if it's a resource that you can waste. The tap is running full, the water is running and the water is running and everything. And they don't seem to take any care at all of how and what they're doing. And the Holy Prophet himself said that if you are performing wuzu by the side of a river, even if you're performing wuzu by the side of a river, you should perform your wuzu as if you only have this handful of water, this much water. And the amount of water that is wasted, God knows how much use could be made of that. Remember, Islam is against waste. So when performing wuzu, although you should do it properly, you should also take care not to waste water. Islam is generally against the waste of all resources, and we should be careful that we don't do that. Let us then look at the mechanics of how wuzu is performed. You start off now. I'll mention something here, that the Holy Quran, the translation that I read out to you, it says, "O you believe, when you rise up for prayer, wash your faces and your hands up to the elbows, and wipe your heads, and wash your feet up to the ankles." Okay? And then it goes on that, when you need to bathe and so on and so forth. So these are the instructions of the Holy Quran. But the Holy Prophet Muhammad, he would start by washing his hands. And he would wash his hands properly. He would wash his hands in between the fingers and give them a good wash. And then after that, what he would do is, in his right hand, take some water and put it in his mouth and wash out his mouth. And then he would take some more water in the palm of his hand and he would breathe it in. He would do that with the right hand. And then with the left, he would squeeze the water out to clean out the inside of the nose. The mouth that I mentioned last time is cleaned 3 times to make sure that nothing remains inside. The nose, again, you do it 3 times, snorkel water up your nose, and then you breathe it out with your left hand. And then this was the practice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Every time he performed wuzu, before that, he would do this. And then he would wash his face. This is where we come to the Holy Quran. And wash your faces. And that includes from your hairline down to your chin and up to ears on both sides. Some people say it's enough to do it once, but the general practice is to do it 3 times. And then you wash your arms up to the elbow. First, the right arm is washed 3 times. That's done first. And then you wash the left arm again 3 times. And after that, you take wet hands and you pass it over your hair. And you do that only once. And then you use damp hands to clean the inside and the back of your ears. Those of you who stayed in hostels and so on will remember that the matron every morning, after you'd had washed, after you'd been to the bathroom, she would come and check. What would she check? She would check your hands and she would check the back of your ears to make sure that you had washed properly. And after that, you wash your right foot, and then you wash your left foot, and that is the end of the wuzu. Remember, everything in Islam starts with Bismillah. So you say Bismillah. Some people say you have to say, I intend to perform this wuzu for this such and such prayer and so on. Well, the fact that you are there and getting ready, that intention is implicit in that. But I guess the advantage in doing this intention is that it acts as a kind of a cutoff point between your worldly activities and what you're about to engage in, which is to prepare yourself for God and your presence before God. So that is the sort of ritual of wuzu. But the interesting thing is, have you noticed how the world is coming to the Islamic form of purification? When we first came to the UK, no one washed their hands. Even the kitchen staff, even after they'd been to the toilet, they would not wash their hands. And people used to make fun of me and said, what is wrong with you? You're always washing your hands. We used to have, they were called school dinners, it was lunch obviously. But before going for that, I would go and wash my hands. And they would say, we can understand in your country, you eat with your hands, you eat chapatis and rice and things with your hands, and you need to use your hands to eat food. But here we use knife and fork. And then why do you wash your hands after you've eaten and so on? Well, we know now why. What does the British Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, keep on saying all the time? Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Which are the 3 points from which coronavirus is said to enter the human body? It gets on your hands, and then they say, don't touch your nose, don't touch your mouth, don't touch your eyes. So what does Islam tell you? Wash your hands properly. And I remember my grandfather instructing me to wash my hands. And he would show me, open out your fingers like this and wash between the fingers with soap. Even when people washing their hands, they would just turn the tap on, stick their hands under it, and that would be that. And I would look at them, because from the day I was taught to wash, and it happens to all the Muslims, I was told to take time, wash my hands properly. I was never asked, have you washed your hands? I was asked, have you washed your hands properly? There is obviously a difference between washing your hands and washing your hands properly. So constantly ask that. What happens in the hospital? What is everyone doing now? They're using disinfectant and so on, but basically it's the same thing. You're washing and cleaning your hands. And what was the next thing the Holy Prophet did? Having washed his hands, he would wash out the inside of his mouth. And what did he next do? He put water in his nose and he cleaned out the inside of his nose. And of course, then when you wash your face, you're washing your eyes as well, and the outside of your nose and so on, and your mouth. And it's not just a spiritual experience. When you're washing your hands, there's also a spiritual element. You're saying, I'm cleaning, I'm purifying myself, I'm repenting of anything bad that I might have done. When you're washing your inside of your mouth, spiritually speaking, you're saying, I'm purifying my mouth of anything wrong I might have said. It's symbolic. Any lie that I might have told. I might have deceived a client or a customer or whatever. The same with your eyes. Same with your ears. The same with your feet. You're performing a spiritual purification before presenting yourself to God. With the promise that you won't do it again. But the interesting thing is that there is this physical element to it as well, which was missed all these years by many people, who would constantly snigger and say, why are Muslims always washing their hands? And nowadays, we are told it's best to leave your shoes outside your door and have a different pair of shoes or slippers for the inside. Why? Because you might have stepped in something that is contaminated. You go to the supermarket and, there's something on the floor and you step in it. Someone dropped whatever it is. A can of yogurt or whatever. And it's infected. Because the person who picked it up was infected. And it's got onto your shoes. You bring it into the house, it's come into the house. You bring those shoes into the house, you brought coronavirus into your house. Something falls on the floor, you pick it up, it's now on that thing. You picked it up, it's now on your hands. So these are eternal principles of physical hygiene that Muslims were taught. And it was stressed that you do this and you do it properly. Have you ever seen, you must have seen programs like Casualty and Whole Obesity and so on, and people go into, and surgeons go into an operating theater and they're getting ready. Do you see them washing their hands? You see how they wash between the fingers, like this, like this, like this, exactly as Islam. Do you see them washing their arms up to their elbows? Both. Do you see them doing it properly? Spending time on purification. That was what the Holy Prophet meant when he said, if a river flows by someone's house and he bathes in it 5 times a day, do you think any dirt can remain on him? And his companions, Rasulullah Ta'ala anhum, said, of course not a prophet of Allah. It can't remain on him. But forget about non-Muslims. we Muslims ourselves have forgotten these lessons that our religion taught us. Now, coronavirus is teaching us the same lessons all over again. This is all for today. Inshallah, next Sunday, we'll again carry on with the lessons in Islam on some other topic perhaps. Until we meet again, I just want to remind you that, of course, every day at 7 p.m. UK time, we reflect on the message of the Holy Quran by looking at different verses and what their possible meanings could be. So that's Monday to Friday. And of course, on Friday, we have Friday prayers as well. We don't have any broadcasts on Saturday, but on Sunday at 9 a.m. UK time, we've started a new series this Sunday, The Call of the Messiah, in which we will deal specifically with the message of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib and answer objections about him, etc. And of course, these lessons in Islam at 1 p.m. UK time. Join us for any or all of those if you can. If you want to take part, just email me, that'll be great. People must be sick of seeing my face all the time. So, until we meet again, I pray that whoever you are and wherever you are, regardless of your religion or sect or nationality or color or creed or caste, may Allah keep everyone safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.